she kept saying to me, if you don't stay with me, I know you're gonna come out, you're gonna be telling everybody about what was going on with the doctor. I felt like, how dare you accuse me when I've kept all your secrets? What do you want me to do? And all I could think is to show her my loyalty to her is to...
Yolanda Saldivar pulled the trigger that ended Selena Quintanilla's life on a fateful day in March of 1995. It was an act so sudden and devastating that fans across the globe were left reeling. Yet for decades, the motive behind this betrayal seemed to be explained in simple terms. An obsessed fan turned close friend who'd been caught stealing. Now, nearly 30 years later, Yolanda is making headlines again, claiming she's ready to break her silence and reveal long-buried secrets. Secrets that supposedly explain why she shot one of the most beloved Latin music stars of all time. This new wave of revelations has set off a firestorm of speculation. Could there be more to the story than anyone realized? Was Yolanda's obsession with Selena deeper, darker, and more methodical than it already appeared? Or is this tell-all just a desperate attempt to shift blame and rewrite history? One thing is certain. Whenever Yolanda Saldivar speaks, she manages to inflame the wounds left by Selena's untimely death and fuel renewed questions about what really happened during those final hours at the day's inn. In the coming chapters, we'll explore every angle of this haunting saga. We'll look at the very beginning, when Selena's future seemed limitless, when all Yolanda wanted was to get closer to the rising Tejano star. We'll examine the red flags that friends and family noticed long before tragedy struck, and we'll dig into the final confrontation that ended Selena's life at just 23 years old. Finally, we'll address the rumors surrounding Yolanda's upcoming documentary, in which she promises unseen documents and shocking confessions that could supposedly shatter everything we thought we knew. By the end of this journey, you might walk away with new insights, or you might find the same story repeating itself in more manipulative ways than ever before. Either way, the lingering question remains. If Yolanda truly has harbored explosive secrets all these years, why bring them to light now? And how much of this truth can we really believe? Stay with us, because what we uncover next goes far beyond a simple case of betrayal. It's a tale of obsession, denial, and the heartbreaking cost of misplaced trust. Long before that final, fatal encounter, Yolanda Saldivar was merely another face in the crowd. A woman who claimed she didn't even care much for Selena's music at first. In fact, she reportedly preferred other Tejano musicians. But all that changed in 1991 when she watched Selena perform live. Something about Selena's energy on stage, her captivating presence, her boundless charisma, sparked a powerful fascination in Yolanda. She went from a casual observer to a self-appointed champion of Selena's career. Soon, Yolanda was contacting Selena's father, Abraham Quintanilla, pleading to start a fan club in San Antonio. Some accounts say she was relentless in her calls, pushing again and again until Abraham finally gave his approval. At first glance, it looked like a wonderful idea. A devoted fan who just wanted to spread Selena's music, sell merchandise, and organize fan events. The initial results were promising. Fans who joined the club received newsletters, exclusive items, and a sense of community that brought them closer to Selena's world. Beneath the surface, though, many would later say Yolanda's interest looked more like fixation than devotion. She began collecting every piece of Selena memorabilia she could find. Posters, photographs, videos, and filled her apartment with them. If someone entered Yolanda's living space, they'd be met with an almost museum-like display of Selena's image. Co-workers at her former nursing job might have raised an eyebrow, but initially, it seemed harmless enough. A superfan living out her dream of supporting a rising star. Selena, on the other hand, was not one to turn away admirers. Her warmth was legendary among fans, and if someone wanted to help her career, she welcomed them into her orbit. Especially someone like Yolanda, who seemed incredibly motivated to assist with everything from fan club details to scheduling events. Over time, as Selena's boutique business took off, Yolanda assumed an even bigger role, manager of Selena's boutiques in Corpus Christi and San Antonio. as well as a kind of gatekeeper for certain financial and administrative tasks. In hindsight, that was a pivotal moment. By granting Yolanda access to the behind-the-scenes workings of her brand, Selena unknowingly gave her a new level of control. People around Selena noticed that Yolanda could be overprotective, sometimes even isolating Selena from her friends and employees. Yet whenever Selena appeared, Yolanda's demeanor would flip to a bright, friendly face offering loyalty and support. Employees who reported Yolanda's harshness were occasionally dismissed or simply not believed, because Selena, at her core, wanted to see the best in everyone. This was the first sign of a looming problem. Selena may have been an extraordinary talent, but she was also trusting. Yolanda recognized that trust and used it to become indispensable in nearly every corner of Selena's life, business and personal. It wasn't just a job for Yolanda. It was special access that few people had. She had keys to Selena's home, handled scheduling, and even traveled with her. Over time, that closeness began to seem normal, and even Selena's family might have overlooked early warning signs. If people around Selena had been more insistent about putting checks and balances in place, might the tragedy have been avoided? Hindsight is always clearer than the present moment, of course. At the time, Selena was on the verge of stardom and needed every ounce of help she could get. She had records to record, boutiques to run, product lines to expand. The momentum was unstoppable, and sometimes, in the rush to see success, the line between loyal assistance and manipulative intrusion can become blurry. Before anyone realized it, Yolanda Saldivar had gone from a mere fan to an indispensable part of Selena's daily life. And if there's one lesson here, it's that obsession often disguises itself as dedication until it's too late to see the difference. As Selena's fame grew, so did her responsibilities. The more she delegated, the more power Yolanda accumulated. Behind closed doors, employees at Selena's boutiques started complaining about Yolanda's hostility and dismissiveness, especially when Selena wasn't around. She would bark orders, criticize people, and generally make life miserable, only to flip back to a sweet personality whenever Selena entered the room. At the same time, unsettling rumors cropped up about Yolanda's handling of finances. Bills weren't being paid, inventory was missing, and employees noticed inexplicable discrepancies in certain transactions. Selena's father, Abraham, was the first to dig deeper. He'd spent years managing her early career and recognized the signs of potential mismanagement. When he confronted Yolanda about questionable bookkeeping, she brushed it off as honest misunderstandings or blamed others for incompetence. Some of Selena's close associates, including her cousin who briefly worked at the boutiques, grew alarmed and tried to bring these issues to Selena's attention. Yet Selena, ever the optimist, couldn't believe Yolanda might be stealing from her or mistreating staff. She knew Yolanda as the person who had promoted her music through the fan club, managed her growing boutique business, and stayed by her side on trips. She wanted to believe in Yolanda's loyalty. Abraham's suspicions, however, kept growing. Yolanda seemed intent on keeping Selena away from the financial records. If employees tried to approach Selena with problems, Yolanda was there, intercepting them and scolding them for bothering her. Selena, meanwhile, was in the middle of expanding her brand and preparing a crossover album that many believed would make her a global star. There was little time to focus on the intricacies of bank accounts and boutique management. This was exactly the kind of environment that made it easy for Yolanda to hide her tracks. It's not unusual in show business for artists to hand off financial details to trusted managers. But that trust only works if the managers are genuinely devoted to the artist's well-being. In Selena's case, the more Yolanda isolated her, the less likely it was that Selena would stumble upon the truth. Abraham, seeing the writing on the wall, tried to warn Selena to be careful. He even confronted Yolanda multiple times, accusing her of theft and demanding accountability. The employees at the boutiques became increasingly vocal. However, Selena struggled to reconcile these grave allegations with the image of Yolanda she had known for years. She'd built her career on kindness and loyalty. Accusing a confidant of theft and manipulation went against her nature. Meanwhile, fan club members started complaining that they'd never received merchandise or other promised items, even though they had paid for them. Selena's father began collecting evidence of missing funds and forged checks. It was only a matter of time before the entire situation blew up and forced Selena to see what was happening behind her back. Everything changed when Abraham discovered a trail of financial fraud that couldn't be ignored. Yolanda, it seemed, had forged checks and embezzled more than $60,000, a staggering sum at the time. In early March of 1995, Abraham, Selena, and Selena's sister Suzette confronted Yolanda with the evidence. Tensions exploded as Abraham presented bank statements, receipts, and eyewitness testimonies. Yolanda alternated between tears and deflection, accusing fans and employees of lying. But the facts were overwhelming, and the truth of her theft became undeniable. Selena was crushed. She had trusted Yolanda completely and felt betrayed. Abraham insisted that Yolanda be removed from the fan club, the boutiques, and every corner of Selena's business immediately. He also demanded that she stay away from Selena altogether. But Selena, concerned about recovering important financial records and design documents for her boutiques, especially in Mexico, hesitated to cut all ties instantly. She believed Yolanda might still hand over the necessary paperwork if they kept a temporary professional relationship. That indecision became a pivotal moment. Selena's desire to salvage her business interests left a small window for Yolanda to remain in her orbit. Meanwhile, Yolanda grew desperate. Her facade had been torn down, and she knew she was on the verge of losing everything. In the days that followed, her behavior became more erratic. She purchased a gun under the pretext of self-defense, returned it, then got another one. She continued to call Selena, begging for meetings and claiming she had crucial documents to hand over. Somewhere in that spiral, something darker took root. Yolanda's repeated attempts to get Selena alone became more obvious. She would claim to have been attacked by unknown assailants, or that she was in danger, hoping to provoke Selena's protective instinct. Each new story seemed designed to lure Selena into vulnerable situations. Abraham, by now, was convinced Yolanda posed a genuine threat. He begged Selena to break off contact, but Selena, still hoping to retrieve her business documents, tried to finalize things as quickly and peacefully as possible. In the weeks leading up to the final tragedy, there were several close calls. Fans interrupted one of Yolanda's private meetings with Selena, possibly saving Selena from harm. Yolanda traveled to Mexico, claiming she had important business for Selena, then said she'd been attacked again. The pattern was clear to many observers, a cycle of lies intended to manipulate Selena's sympathy. And Selena, ever trusting, tried one last time to give Yolanda the benefit of the doubt. By March 30th, 1995, Yolanda was staying at a Days Inn motel in Corpus Christi. From there, she made calls to Selena about the elusive papers and claimed she was injured or bleeding, insinuating she'd been assaulted again. Despite Abraham's warnings and her husband Chris Perez's concerns, Selena agreed to meet Yolanda. Early on March 31st, Selena arrived at the motel, expecting this meeting would finally settle everything. Instead, she walked into the most dangerous scenario imaginable. Accounts vary on the exact sequence of events inside room 158, but a heated argument erupted when Selena realized Yolanda still wasn't returning the correct financial records. At some point, Yolanda drew a revolver. A single shot rang out, loud enough that a motel worker mistook it for a tire blowout. Selena, mortally wounded, fled the room, screaming for help, trailed by Yolanda clutching the gun. Collapsing in the lobby, Selena identified Yolanda as her attacker with her final breath. Rushed to the hospital, Selena was declared brain dead and died within hours. She was only 23 years old. The news sent shockwaves around the world. Fans rushed to the hospital, hoping for a miracle, while radio stations played Selena's hits on repeat. Overnight, a rising star on the brink of international superstardom was gone. People struggled to comprehend how a trusted associate, someone with keys to Selena's home, could commit such a monstrous act. The heartbreak reverberated everywhere, but it was most deeply felt in Latino communities, where Selena's success symbolized a powerful moment of representation and pride. Shortly after the shooting, Yolanda barricaded herself in her pickup truck, still holding the revolver, and engaged in a 9-hour standoff with police. She threatened to off herself, sobbed uncontrollably, and insisted the gun had gone off by accident. Negotiators worked tirelessly to persuade her to surrender. To many, the standoff symbolized the final act in Yolanda's long history of manipulation. Even when cornered, she tried to command the situation, seeking sympathy and perhaps one last chance to control how the story would be told. Eventually, Yolanda surrendered and was taken into custody. She faced a highly publicized trial, where she continued to claim the shooting was accidental. Prosecutors presented evidence of her escalating behavior, the lies and thefts, and the gun purchases that suggested premeditation. The jury was unconvinced by Yolanda's pleas. She was convicted and sentenced to life behind bars, eligible for parole in 2025. Through it all, she maintained that she loved Selena and never intended to harm her, a claim that rang hollow for most observers who saw it as yet another attempt at manipulating the narrative. For a long time, it seemed the case was settled. Yolanda sat in prison, and Selena's family focused on celebrating the singer's memory. Selena's music lived on, drawing new fans with each passing year. Her fashion influence endured, her bilingual songs continued to resonate, and the biopic starring Jennifer Lopez became a classic for entire generations. Then came a new controversy. Yolanda announced a documentary project called Selena and Yolanda: Secrets Between Us, promising exclusive revelations that would supposedly change how we see Selena's death. The announcement ignited a storm of backlash from fans and Selena's family, who saw it as yet another money grab, an exploitation of Selena's enduring popularity in a bid to shift blame and stir up sympathy. Yolanda, for her part, claimed she had never before seen documents and recordings that would prove her innocence or cast doubt on the official narrative. Critics pointed out that any crucial evidence should have emerged during her trial. They believe this is more likely a ploy to profit off Selena's legacy before Yolanda's parole date arrives. Selena's family and fans are adamant that Yolanda has nothing new to offer, nothing but recycled excuses. They bristle at the idea that the woman who betrayed Selena so deeply might step back into the spotlight, possibly re-victimizing the family and adding confusion for a younger generation of fans who only know Selena through her timeless hits and online tributes. Questions swirl about the documentary's content. Could Yolanda indeed produce documents that reshape the story? Most people doubt it. They see an established pattern of lies and manipulation, believing this will be one more chapter in that sad history. Yet, every time Yolanda's name resurfaces, the old wounds are reopened. Fans can't help but remember the vibrant performer they lost. The woman who broke barriers for Tejano music, unified audiences of all backgrounds, and exuded genuine warmth at every turn. Despite the tragedy, Selena's legacy remains more powerful than any controversy. She was the queen of Tejano, an icon whose bilingual approach and charismatic performances opened doors for countless Latin artists. Her posthumous album, Dreaming of You, soared to #1 on the Billboard 200. The 1997 film about her life brought her story to mainstream audiences, further cementing her status as a cultural phenomenon. In 2017, she was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, proof that her impact transcended her short time on Earth. This legacy is rooted not just in Selena's talent, but in her authenticity. She connected with fans on a personal level, radiating warmth and kindness at every meet and greet or performance. For many, her death was a betrayal on multiple levels. The tragic end of a blossoming career and the heartbreak of learning that a trusted member of her inner circle had turned on her. The shock remains fresh even decades later, especially whenever Yolanda attempts to reinsert herself into public view. All these years later, there are still aspects of Selena's tragedy that remain clouded in uncertainty. We have a broad outline: the theft, the obsessive behavior, the final showdown. But the exact workings of Yolanda's mind, her real motivations, may never be fully understood. Was the shooting purely a last-ditch attempt at maintaining control? Did she harbor illusions of reconciling with Selena if she could just isolate her one more time? These unanswered questions continue to fuel speculation. It's part of why fans approach Yolanda's claims of new evidence with skepticism tinged with morbid curiosity. The courts ruled decisively on her guilt, but the deeper why can feel elusive. For Selena's family, Though the matter is closed, Yolanda robbed the world of a beloved artist, and nothing she says will ever change that. If there's one constant, it's that each revelation from Yolanda only reinforces how secure Selena's legacy is. No controversy or documentary can diminish her influence or the depth of the love people still hold for her. Yolanda may insist there's more to the story, but Selena's impact was forged in her life, not her death. Walk into a record store or browse any music platform, and you'll find generations old and new still jamming to Como La Flor or Biddy Biddy Boom Bomb. Fans gather to celebrate her birthday or the anniversary of her passing, feeling as if she never truly left. Her spirit lives on in the songs, the style, the joy she brought to every performance. That's the story the world chooses to remember, not the one tainted by a former employee's betrayal. Of course, Selena's death remains a grim reminder that not everyone who claims to be loyal truly is. Sometimes the real threat emerges from within one's closest circle. And in Selena's case, the cost of her trust was devastating. Even so, her life stands as a testament to what a fierce work ethic, genuine warmth, and boundary-pushing creativity can accomplish. She was on the cusp of mainstream superstardom, blending Tejano rhythms with pop crossover appeal in a way that felt effortless and magnetic. Yolanda's betrayal was not just an attack on a superstar. It was an assault on hope and potential. It stole from the world an artist who had only begun to scratch the surface of her abilities. But as tragic as it was, it couldn't erase the achievements Selena had already made, or the legacy she left behind. In many ways, her lasting influence has only grown stronger with time. The final word here is that Selena's legacy is far greater than any revelations Yolanda Saldivar can make. While Yolanda might try to rewrite the narrative, the love people feel for Selena cannot be tarnished by new rumors or secret documents. The courts settled the facts, and the public, by and large, has made up its mind. Selena was a radiant star, a cultural beacon, whose life ended far too soon at the hands of someone she once trusted. Yet her music, her image, and her spirit live on, undimmed by betrayal. Even decades after her passing, we find ourselves still talking about Selena, celebrating her life, and marveling at the doors she opened for so many Latino artists. That, in itself, is a testament to her unparalleled impact and the remarkable warmth she brought to everyone around her. And as much as Yolanda might attempt to reclaim the spotlight, Selena's light burns too brightly for any darkness to overshadow it. For more of the latest news, check out this next video.